for the final week of February, and a matchup of two schools separated by only 2 hours on I-85, but by only one game in the ACC standings. It's Clemson against Georgia Tech, right in the middle of the pack here in the conference. These two teams, the Tigers and the Yellow Jackets, fighting for positioning going into the ACC tournament. Hi everyone, Steve Schlanger alongside Dan Bonner, and this is the first of two meetings between these two squads in the next 10 days, so plenty of opportunity to shape their own stories headed down the stretch. What does this game in particular mean for the tournament implications?
Well, it's very simple. The first four teams get a double bye. Teams 5 through 9 get a single bye. Teams 10 through 15 have to play on the first day. You don't want to play on the first day.
No, absolutely not. Well, for Clemson, this is a team that was up and down earlier in the season, but they have found their rhythm here in February.
Yeah, they're on a really good streak. The Clemson Tigers under Brad Brown now have always been very solid defensively, and their three-game winning streak is very simple. The ball has been going in the basket, and how about that? The first time winning 3 straight ACC games by 15 or more points since the 1975 season. And that was a great Clemson team. That was Tree Rollins and Stan Rome. That was one of the all-timers.
There is Josh Pastner, the head coach for Georgia Tech. Clemson coming out in the orange, Tech in the white. Two very familiar foes set for their 137th meeting. Georgia Tech has played Clemson more than any other ACC team in a series that dates all the way back to 1912. But it has been Clemson dominating recently. The Tigers have won 5 in a row and 16 of 20 over the Yellow Jackets. What do you watch for early in this one to set the tone, Dan?
Well, Georgia Tech, as they start in their zone defense, it looks like a 1-3-1, but they match up, and Clemson is a team that has moved the ball very well, has shot it very well in the last 3 games against man-to-man defense, but doesn't make any difference. Good ball movement by the Tigers.
And the first basket by Amir Sims, the leading scorer on this Clemson team. Georgia Tech with half a dozen starting lineups employed this season, largely because of injuries, but now these are the 5 they are set to roll with the rest of the way. Michael DeVoe on the miss, but it'll be a second opportunity on the offensive end for the home team. DeVoe again, this time kicking it out. And Jordan Usher on the running hook ties the score at 2. 1 minute gone by here in Atlanta. Clemson, a team that was racked with injuries earlier this season, it really compromised the starting lineups available to head coach Brad Brownell, but they are starting to get healthy at the right time as well, just like Georgia Tech. Long 3 in and out. Clyde Trapp misses on his first attempt of the night.
We showed you their numbers over their 3-game winning streak, making 50% of their 3-point baskets. Prior to that winning streak, it's a team that only made 29% from out there, even though they rely on the 3 for about 40% of their offense.
Trapp on the rebound for Clemson.
Oh my.
And Amir Sims gets the nice pass from Newman and had an empty lane as he drove into the basket.
If you're going to lose somebody out there, you should not lose Amir Sims on his way to the basket.
Sims, the junior from Palmyra, Virginia, leading this Clemson team in most of the major offensive categories as Usher gets the backdoor pass and he lays it in.
Jose Alvarado does such a great job creating things for his Georgia Tech teammates. You saw a perfect example of it right there.
Sims and Usher have all the points for their respective teams so far here in the early going. Clyde Trapp lost the handle on the drive. And Alvarado lays it in. Jose Alvarado, second leading scorer on this Georgia Tech team. So quick, so talented, leading them in assists and steals this season. Tevin Mack.
And that was not an easy shot. The one thing that this Georgia Tech zone has done here early in the game, Clemson standing a little bit more than they want to do on offense, but so far it hasn't hurt them. They've been able to make a couple of baskets.
3 minutes deep, and we are tied at 6. Usher this time strokes the long 3. And Newman leads the break.
It's going to be really important for each of these teams to do a good job on their defensive boards. You don't want to give either team extra opportunities.
Both teams pretty good on the glass on each end.
Georgia Tech has switched it up. They're actually playing man-to-man now.
Sims with his first miss so far tonight.
I don't think Clemson really recognized that very well. I think if Georgia Tech's playing man-to-man, they want to try to drive the ball a little bit more.
Three ball won't go down for Michael DeVoe, the leading three-point scorer on this Georgia Tech team. It's a Yellow Jacket squad that really doesn't even attempt many three-pointers, but he is far and away their best long man from downtown as Mack misses.
Nice job by Banks to come over and help out. That's an awful lot of length to try to shoot over.
And Usher gave the ball up, but DeVoe was out of bounds. So just over 4 minutes gone by. We are tied at 6 here in Atlanta. Both teams with half a dozen on the board. 15:48 left to go first half. Each squad 2 of their last 4 from the field. Amir Sims for Clemson has 4 of their 6 points. Same story on the other side for Jordan Usher, the junior from Canton, Georgia.
And Georgia Tech opened in that zone. They played a little man-to-man. Now they're back into the zone. And this is a Clemson team. They're based on player movement and ball movement, and the zone is designed to slow them down. Didn't slow Newman down. Or excuse me, that's
Tevin Mack.
Tevin Mack.
Yeah, right down the baseline, and he stuffs it home. Good start for Tevin Mack, the grad student from Columbia, South Carolina.
And of course, Clemson plays almost exclusively man-to-man.
And a turnover. Clemson with a transition 3. Elamir Dawes couldn't find the range. Out of bounds over to Georgia Tech. There is Brad Brownell, head coach for Clemson, now in his 10th season, and just recently becoming the all-time winningest coach in program history. Native of Evansville, Indiana, and also spent time as the head coach at UNC Wilmington and Wright State, but now certainly settled in Clemson, South Carolina. And his team, winners of 3 in a row after having dropped 3 in a row. And hoping to peak at the right time here in the final few weeks of the season as Michael DeVoe lays it in for Georgia Tech to tie us once again.
And Brad Brownell standing right in front of us hollered out to his team, stop the ball. And that's pretty good advice.
Good coaching. Turnover by the Tigers. Josh Pastner, only in his 4th year as the head coach here in Atlanta. Spent 7 years at Memphis, of course, was a player at Arizona, part of their national championship team after growing up in Texas. Also ACC Coach of the Year here for Georgia Tech back in 2017. And that's going to be a foul on Clemson. Curran Scott, his first personal.
Georgia Tech is not a team that looks to shoot the 3, particularly early in the shot clock. They like to get the ball inside. Moses Wright is not in the game right now, but he's been a huge factor for them. So they like to get it inside to Banks. They like to get it inside to Wright as their primary function, primary attack.
DeVoe had the baseline cut off. Shot clock now in single digits. Deep 3 by Parham, and Bubba Parham, as you're talking about the lack of three-point production, hits the deepest 3 so far in this game.
Well, Parham is a guy who can score, and he can score from three-point range. His percentage hasn't been great this year, but he scored a lot of points at VMI. Very capable if you leave him alone.
Elamir Dawes answers with a 3 from the wing for Clemson.
And Dawes made 6 out of 10 three-point baskets against Boston College. He missed one badly just a couple of possessions ago, but not that time.
That was his best game as a Clemson player. Had a game-high 22 points. And we are tied at 11 as John Newman skies high for the rebound.
Evan Cole's only a 22% three-point shooter in conference play. I'm not sure that early in the clock that's what Josh Pastner's looking for.
Newman driving, and an errant pass. He had hoped to find Curran Scott, but nowhere near him.
Well,
Turnover by the Tigers, their third.
He even threw that over Josh Pastner's head.
Not that Pastner was going to go for it.
Well, but Josh was open.
Right, he was open. He had positioned himself well on that sideline. Just north of 13 minutes left to go. A tight first 7 here in Atlanta at the McCamish Pavilion. DeVoe needs some help. Double teamed and stolen. And then Amir Sims is fouled. Evan Cole will get assessed his first personal.
That was a situation where Evan Cole was open, but the pressure by the Clemson backcourt, the double team against DeVoe, he wasn't able to get the ball to Cole when he was open. And Sims does a great job. He sees that Cole is open. He sees that where DeVoe is going with the ball, and he's able to react. Really good defensive play.
This is a Georgia Tech team that turns the ball over much more than they would like. They also foul a lot. And coming right down the middle and laying it up and in, Hunter Tyson, a sophomore from Monroe, North Carolina, his first bucket of the game.
That's the kind of ball movement that you typically see from Clemson when they're being effective in their man-to-man offense. Nice job.
And free throws coming up for Khalid Moore, who was fouled down low.
And this is just a situation, the dribble penetration draws the defense. Everybody's looking at the basketball. Nobody's looking at Hunter Tyson, the cutter. And that's a tough shot there. Evan Cole came over and was in pretty good position.
Curran Scott picking up his second personal. In fact, he has the only 2 fouls in the entire basketball game. He's going to come out. And Clyde Trapp is back in. Moore missing on the first free throws of the game. Good two-way player from Briarwood, New York. First scholarship player from Archbishop Malloy High School since Kenny Anderson for this Georgia Tech team.
That worked out pretty well for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, good recruit. And gets 1 of 2. Clemson 3 of their last 4 from the field, holding the 1-point lead as we come up on 12 minutes to go first half.
Georgia Tech stays in the man-to-man defense. Interesting matchup. There's Sims matching up against Wright.
Alamir Dawes, though, gets all the way inside. It's tipped up and in by Amir Sims and waved off. They're going to say it was on the cylinder.
Well, it was sitting on the rim, I think, when Sims hit it. I'm not so sure that this ball was coming out, but, you know, when you're trying to... Sims on the left-hand side of your screen, he's coming in, he gets great position. That ball was coming out, but it was clearly on the rim, so good call by the officials. It's up there, you just can't stop yourself.
Yeah, once you go up, you're going to tap it in. And another turnover by Georgia Tech.
That's a great defensive play by Tyson.
Clyde Trapp gets into the paint. And then can't find Dawes as he throws it out of bounds. 5th turnover by the Tigers, but nonetheless, they lead by 1 here on the road. First half, 1-point game. No team has led by more than 3. We've already had 5 ties so far. And a very close one in Atlanta on this Tuesday night. Georgia Tech and Clemson separated by just 1 game in the ACC standings.
One of the problems for Clemson has been they've turned the ball over. They've turned it over 5 times already. Turned it over 20 times in their last game against Boston College, but they were able to take care of that because they shot 70% from the field, not shooting 70% from the field tonight.
Yeah, Brad Brownell said that was really the only weak spot in that game. Otherwise, it was one of their best games of the season. Moses Wright on the miss for Tech. Quickly the other way. Kayvon Moore out of control, and he turns it over.
Yeah, he got going a little too quickly, got started stumbling, and Alvarado took it right away from him.
Both teams could stand to take a little better care of the basketball here in this opening half. Usher, that time lost it on his way up.
Boy, Sims was all alone under the basket, and Trapp never saw him.
He does get it down on the blocks, and the spin move allows him to drop in 2.
He has had a fabulous year. And he was wide open. He had a very easy shot, but even though they got the ball to him late, he's still able to use his offensive skill and versatility to score that one.
Sims with 4 double-doubles this season as Jordan Usher goes back up, and he scores. Usher and Sims, the 2 most productive offensive players for each team here as we hit the midpoint of the opening half.
Georgia Tech's done a nice job getting the ball inside, particularly on the dribble drop.
Alamir Dawes looking for his second triple. Sims keeps it alive, but he's fouled as Michael DeVoe was a little too aggressive going for the loose ball.
You know, if you put good pressure on the ball, the guy with the ball can't see inside, and this is exactly what happened. Trapp dribbles the ball, and he just turns his head. He's not looking at all and down. Look at the left-hand portion of your screen. Sims is wide open, but when they finally do find him, he's able to make a really nice move against Moses Wright.
He did all he could. He was waving his arms, he was screaming, he was jumping up and down, but the end result is what he wanted. 2 points. Trey Jemison in for the first time for Clemson, replacing Amir Sims as he gets a breather. Shot clock at 3. Trapp lays it in. Clyde Trapp coming back from a serious knee injury that he suffered last summer, missed the first month and a half of this season, but a vital addition to this Clemson roster here for the final few months.
Georgia Tech hadn't really been able to get Banks and Wright involved at all. Their offense has come from dribble penetration.
Banks on the rebound that time, and he had position. As a result, he was fouled by Trey Jemison.
Banks is so big and strong. He is a load to deal with on the inside. The problem for Banks and Josh Pastner is Banks is fouled out of the last 4 games. It's really important for Georgia Tech to have him on the court. He's a good shot blocker, anchors their defense.
He's number 2 in the conference in block shots so far this season.
Doing a nice job working hard for position inside.
Alvarado goes by Trapp. Banks fighting for the rebound, out of bounds, and is going to stay with the Yellow Jackets.
And Banks really created that situation by battling for the ball. There was 3 Clemson players there, but Banks was still able to get his hands on it.
Six on the shot clock. Bubba Parham has to loft it up. High arching shot.
That's a shot clock violation. I don't think that ever hit the rim.
No. And a foul is called. And that's going to be against Clemson.
Well,
that's going to be in Hemingway.
I guess it did hit the rim because I sure didn't think that ball hit the rim.
Ooh.
That may have just
it was
grazed
close. And they're going to review it. So the officials will come over. And they'll take a look. We'll need another look as well. The first pass, a little inconclusive.
Well, as that ball descends, you can see the shot clock has expired, and the rule is the ball has to hit the rim. And if that didn't hit the rim, that's a shot clock violation. Right. So there isn't any foul. See if we can see it from here. There's not a. I'm not sure that ever hit the rim.
I don't think it did.
I'm not sure that ever hit the rim. Now, the ruling on the court was that it did. So the officials have to decide that there is indisputable video evidence.
The rim does shake, but
the rim would shake if it hit the backboard
I know,
too.
Yep.
So I'm not sure that's the rim shaking as much as the backboard shaking.
I think it missed the rim.
And they called the foul on Hemingway because he jumped in on top of the pile there. But if that doesn't hit the rim, then it's a shot clock violation, and there's no pile to jump in on.
That does not hit the rim. I think we would have seen some kind of deflection or at least the ball movement some way.
But again, the officials, okay, now they're saying it's a shot clock violation. Okay.
So they agree.
And so that means there's no foul on Hemingway.
Yep. So it'll be Clemson basketball. Georgia Tech now 1 of their last 6 from the field.
Remember, the rule is that it's not just that you shoot before the end of the shot clock, but you have to get the shot off and it has to hit the rim.
Yep.
So that's why play went on, and it does go on while the ball's in the air.
Clemson by 3 with the basketball, largest lead any team has had so far here in this first half.
A lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy plays so far.
Here's Mack on the floater.
See, I think Clemson, with the athletes that they have, with as comfortable as they are playing in their man-to-man offense, I am actually a little surprised that Georgia Tech is playing so much man-to-man. Now, they have recently, and they've played it very effectively, but Clemson is not the kind of a team I think that you want to do that.
Clemson 5 of their last 6, and that ends a scoring drought for Georgia Tech as Khalid Moore hits his first triple of the game.
And again, in ACC play, he only shoots 28% from out there. And as you mentioned, Steve, Georgia Tech does not rely heavily on the 3.
Here's DeVoe off the turnover against Newman. And Alvarado had it stripped. And it will stay with Georgia Tech. So just south of 8 minutes left to go, first half. But Georgia Tech with a couple of threes here in this first half. It's not like them, but it keeps them within 2. With under 8 minutes left to go here in the first half, both teams somewhat sloppy, turning the ball over on multiple occasions through this first half of play. What a big 3 right before that last break by Khalid Moore, keeping Georgia Tech close by.
Well, and the reason that Clemson leads by 2, I said they weren't shooting 70%, but they are shooting 64%. And so that makes up for a lot of mistakes, and they have turned the ball over 7 times. Newman trying very hard to prevent DeVoe from driving that ball with his left hand.
Alvarado rattles in the 3. For Georgia Tech, already their 3rd three-point basket here in this first half. And they are back in front by 1.
Boy, they missed Sims again. He was open on that cut to the basket.
Fade away, soft touch for Sims.
And Sims is so versatile. He is a guy who plays the post, but he's more of a face-up post guy than a back-to-the-basket guy, although he can play with his back to the basket and use either hand in there. But when he's facing the basket, he is an excellent jump shooter.
He leads all scorers with 8 points. Here's Banks, had it blocked by Sims. Clemson running, looking to extend this lead. Little Euro step, and Sims lays it in. First player into double figures.
That was an interesting looking play. I'm not too sure that that wasn't a traveling violation.
A Euro travel, maybe? And that is going to be a foul on John Newman.
Well, we talked about the versatility of Sims and how valuable he is to this Clemson team. On the one end, defensively, he blocks the shot, tips out the rebound, just runs down the middle of the court, looking, claps his hand, looking for the pass. He did not walk. That was an excellent move. He has had such a great year for the Clemson Tigers, and he is one of the most difficult post guys to defend because of his versatility.
Georgia Tech going cold from the field here.
And Moses Wright, who scored 33 the last time out against Syracuse, has not scored tonight.
Sims this time from near the top of the key. He's done most of his damage down low. And an offensive foul against Tech.
And there's Sims again. Sims misses the shot. And when you miss a long three like that, it gives your opponent a chance to get out and run. And Sims just steps in and takes that charge. So we've seen him playing all kinds of defense. Crowd upset about that call, but I thought that he got there and got himself established, which is a great move by a big guy in transition.
6'8" junior, 240 pounds, stepping in front, taking the charge. And then on the other end, it's going to be a goaltending call. Allows Sims to add 2 more to his portfolio.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. We've seen him play away from the basket, and he can also play close to the basket. He has really picked Clemson up here in the last couple of possessions.
6-0 Clemson run. It's the longest run any team has made so far. And how about Sims? He's got 12 points on 6 of 8 shooting from the field. 5.5 to go, first half. Alvarado took heavy contact. He is down. Writhing in pain on the baseline as Alamir Dawes goes the length of the floor, can't connect. Meantime, Alvarado is up, still holding his arm, tries the corner three, and he buries it. As he signals for help, still holding that left arm. How about that?
Boy, that is really something. Boy, he landed
on that left arm.
Landed on that left arm. I thought Sims went straight up. There was some contact there, but it's more offense-initiated contact. That's probably a pretty good no call, but oh my heavens. And then somehow he's able to catch the ball and knock down the three, but he needs some help, and he's running straight to the locker room. Boy, I hope he's okay. That did not look good. Man.
I don't know if I've seen a sequence like that where a player is in so much pain and seconds later hits a three-point basket to bring his team back to within 2 as we come up on the final 5 of the first half. Alvarado has been shooting the ball better lately from three-point range, 38% over his last 14 games. And Banks had to keep it in.
I think he stepped out of bounds. Yes, he did. Well, Steve, the most amazing thing about what Alvarado just did, most guys in that kind of pain would catch the ball and would tell the referee they need some help, but Alvarado didn't. He scored the three-point basket first.
Hemingway, and Newman can't finish.
Georgia Tech has really picked up the intensity on the defensive end. Clemson not getting shots quite so easily.
Right, this is everything from in close.
But again, that was Sims in there contesting that shot.
Clemson, their coldest drought here of this first half, one of their last 5 from the field. Sims kicks it out for Mack.
That was not a good pass by Sims. Mack was open, and if you deliver a good pass, he's got a wide open three. But he had a tough time catching the ball and then tried to drive it in.
Moses Wright almost had it stripped. And now Clemson will slow the tempo. Somewhat ragged first half of play here. Both teams with 7 turnovers.
And Amir Sims that time going up the court was the guy who made the offensive play call. And I don't think they did what Sims wanted them to do.
DeVoe was left open, and he knocks it down. He's got half a dozen.
Clemson was able to score early against the Georgia Tech man-to-man defense, but the Yellow Jackets have tightened things up. No easy opportunities lately for the Tigers.
It looked like Clemson was poised to go on a run, but instead we are tied. Clemson won for their last 7. And a block from behind. Huge block by Jordan Usher, the 6'7" junior from here in Georgia. An emphatic defensive play by the big man here. And we are tied at 25. So he is on the Georgia Tech bench after that hard fall a short time ago. As we take you back through what's happened through the first 17 minutes. It has been quite the affair here tonight in Atlanta.
Well, each team shooting the ball okay. Clemson, of course, with the 7 turnovers, Georgia Tech with 8, and I think that's really been the big key to the game. That plus the fact that Georgia Tech has been able to make threes. They've made 4 3-point baskets in the game. That's very close to their game total.
With the shot clock at 3, the three-pointer won't go down for Hunter Tyson.
And Clemson now 1 for 7 from beyond the arc after going 12 for 23 the other night against Boston College.
And 1 for their last 9 from the field overall. Here is Usher, but an offensive foul is called against Jordan Usher. That's the second time in the last 3 minutes we've seen an offensive foul like that called against the Yellow Jackets.
And this is a really nice job by Tyson just to get himself turned around and in position, just barely outside that restricted area. Josh Pastner, I believe, thinks he was in the restricted area. But a nice job by Tyson to get himself turned around and in position.
Here's Sims. And a pair of free throws coming up as he got Banks off his feet to commit the foul.
And Sims has been the best offense that Clemson has been able to produce. He scored both inside and outside. And here he's isolated against Banks. Banks leaves his feet, commits the foul. We mentioned Banks has had problems with fouling in the last 4 games, has fouled out of all of them.
Amir Sims at the free throw line for the first time tonight, leading this team in made free throws this season and shooting 73% from the line. Gets them both, and Clemson back in front. Sims with 14 points. He had 12 and 13 points respectively in each of the last 2 games. So he's exceeded both of those totals here in the first half alone. 2 minutes to go. Opening frame. Shot clock in single digits. Bubba Parham is fouled on the 3-point shot by Alex Hemingway.
Well, you want to get up, you want to contest that shot, but Hemingway just goes flying into him. You've got to go straight up in the air, and I know how difficult that is, but it's possible that what you should be doing is just jumping out there and getting your hands up.
It has been a roller coaster here in Atlanta. 6 lead changes so far in this first half. We are just south of 2 minutes left to go in the opening frame. It has been back and forth and currently tied at 27 as Bubba Parham, the junior from Snellville, Georgia, is at the free throw line for 3 free throws here. He gets them all and puts the Yellow Jackets back in front. Steve Schlanger with Dan Bonner. Dan, what has been the story of the game so far for you?
Well, it's been a sloppy game, but Clemson has been able to stay in it because Amir Sims has been outstanding. He's got 14 points. Every time they've been able to find him, he makes a play, but their Parham knocks it away.
Jordan Usher for Banks, charging the lane, and he stuffs it home.
Well, this time Hunter Tyson did not get out of the restricted area, and Banks just goes right over him. Tyson's got his feet set, but very clearly he's in that restricted area, and Banks takes advantage of it. Wow, what a play.
It's a 10-2 Tech run with 1.5 minutes left to go here in the first half. Let's now send you back to Wake Forest, and once again, here is Dave and Corey. Guys. Three-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Final 90 seconds of this first half. 8 to shoot. DeVoe spinning around Newman. Triple team, gives it up, and Khalid Moore banks it in.
They're really working to try to keep DeVoe from going to his left, but DeVoe showing you that he can get in position with his right hand as well, Drew. The entire defensive team. Nice shot by Moore under pressure.
Largest lead for the Yellow Jackets. A minute to go, first half. And Amir Sims called for a traveling violation.
Sims trying to take advantage of the fact that Banks is under the basket. And this is just a nice job by Banks. Sims runs into him.
Now Clemson has not scored since just inside the 6-minute mark. Left to go here in this first half. We're now down under 1 minute as Georgia Tech looks to expand on this advantage and take the momentum to the locker room at the break.
Well, certainly Clemson has not shot the ball as well in the first half as they have in their last 3 games. And there is great penetration by Parham. Hemingway is just having a really tough time staying in front of him.
Banks coming on. And a timeout taken by the Tigers with half a minute to go. Crowd on their feet here at the McCamish Pavilion.
Well, not only has Georgia Tech really tightened things up on the defensive end, but they have been able to get the ball inside that Clemson defense with the dribble penetration. Parham that time draws 3 defenders. Banks in great position. But Bubba Parham just too much for the Clemson defense out on the perimeter, and Banks suddenly coming to life.
A 9-0 run for Georgia Tech. It's the longest run for any team here in this opening half of play. And Clemson desperate for some kind of offense here to turn things perhaps in their favor, headed to the locker room. Only 1 of their last 9 from the field.
Well, Banks had been scoreless until the last couple of minutes, but he's gotten rolling here. He scored those 4 points in impressive fashion, and I think that's been a real key for Georgia Tech.
The lead is 7.
Boy, and that's that defense.
Trap into Sims. Now against Banks, comes up short, but Banks lost the ball, had it in his hands, so it stays with Clemson.
Steve, early in the game, Brad Brownell's guys were able to get whatever they wanted when they didn't turn it over against that Clemson man-to-man, it's a Georgia Tech man-to-man defense, but the Yellow Jackets have just shut it off. They've been outstanding in the man-to-man.
And a foul called here on Bubba Parham, his second personal for Georgia Tech.
That's only the 6th team foul on Georgia Tech, so they had a foul to give. And Alvarado coming back in the game. That's a really good sign.
And a timeout taken by Georgia Tech.
Well, maybe what Alvarado did was just land on that elbow, and anytime anybody's ever fallen on your elbow, you know how that can sting.
Now let's take you back and show you what happened.
I'm just glad he didn't break his arm. And Alvarado has been such a key for Georgia Tech. He was hurt early in the season. The Yellow Jackets struggled. And he just banged down on that arm, but he's able to get up, catch the ball, make a 3, and then ask the official for some help. And he left the court, went to the locker room, came back, and ready to go.
Missed 7 games earlier this season because of a right ankle injury. But the biggest news in his life is just had a baby a few weeks ago on February the 5th, a little girl named Naz. So the junior from Brooklyn has a lot going on at the moment. But back in the game here for the final 7.9 seconds. And there he is with baby Naz. So just a few weeks old now. Born the day after they played Virginia Tech. Here's Amir Sims. He was so good early offensively, and that's the way he's going to end the half as well. The basket and 1.
Tech foul charge number 12 on Moore, his first 17 foul.
Kayvon Moore with his first personal.
Banks, Tiger substitution number 21, Kayvon Moore. Amir Sims at the line, shooting 1.
Final seconds, first half. And DeVoe can't connect at the buzzer. So, here after 20 minutes in Atlanta, it's the home team leading 34-29. You're watching ACC Network Basketball presented by Geico. A 5-point lead for Georgia Tech. Headed towards the second half. Amir Sims keeping Clemson in this one. He's the subject of tonight's Player Spotlight, brought to you by Geico, leading all scores with 16 points.
And he has shown the versatility that he possesses, that he's shown all season long. I mean, he scored from inside, he scored from outside. That's more than half of the Clemson field goal total. He's made all the Clemson free throws. It's only been 2. And Jose Alvarado, he had himself a pretty good first half as well. He scored 6 points, made a couple of threes. And it's just nice to see him back on the court after that hard fall where we were afraid that he might have really injured his left arm. But he's back and he looks okay.
Georgia Tech went on a 14-4 run in the last 5 minutes of that first half, while Clemson went cold, hitting only one of their final 10 from the field. And the Jackets open up this second frame, extending their advantage to their largest margin of the night, now leading by 7.
And that's Moses Wright's first field goal of the game. He did not score at all in the first half, was 0 for 5.
Moses Wright coming off a career-high 33 points in a loss at Syracuse this past weekend. His 7th double-double of the season. Alamir Dawes gets the first points of the second half for Clemson. He's also coming off a terrific game in a win over Boston College this past weekend. His best performance in a Clemson uniform, as he posted a career high as well. Jordan Usher on the turnaround, can't get it to fall for the Jackets. Clemson demolished BC on the road, winning by 18 points. They've won 3 in a row coming in to this game. Head coach Brad Brownell called that win over the Eagles their most complete performance of the season. He said that outside of a few turnovers, it was about as well as this team can play.
Well, they had more than a few, Steve. They had 20. So, unfortunately for them, for the Tigers, they have 9 in this game here, and they haven't shot the ball as well, so that's been a real problem. That's a good job by Moses Wright to get out there and pressure that three-point basket by Sims.
And right through the hands of Bubba Parham and out of bounds. Turnover by Tech, their 10th of the basketball game.
Pass was a little high by Jordan Usher. Usher is such an energetic guy. He really gives Georgia Tech a boost, but sometimes he gets going a little too fast.
Trapped by Sims, and Banks a little late on the help. And Amir Sims out to 18 points now.
Banks thought they were going to shoot the ball, and so he went over to try to block the shot, and Sims just got himself down underneath the basket.
This Georgia Tech team, 1 game under 500, and they pretty much played like a 500 team lately. 5-5 over their last 10, coming off that loss at Syracuse on Saturday. But tonight, the first of a very important 3-game homestand as we get into the final 2 weeks of the regular season. And DeVoe can't get it to fall with the shot clock winding down. Now Tevin Mack, corner 3 for the guy who leads this Clemson team and made 3-point baskets this season. Tech running and right, can't finish. Goes for the monster slam.
That's one he just should have laid in. A very nice job by Usher to get that ball and get it down the court. Sometimes the easy play is better than the spectacular play, and it would have been on that occasion for Moses Wright.
One of the SportsCenter highlight, but they all count for 2.
Or 3.
In that case, Amir Sims. His first 3-point basket of the night, and he's got 21 total. Nobody has over half of the total of Sims here for either team. Well, that time, Wright got it to go with authority.
Now, Moses Wright just got no opportunities in the first half. Much better job by Moses Wright moving without the ball here in the second.
Clemson shooting an even 50% from the field. coming off a school record, 69% in the win over Boston College.
You might say, well, Mac just missed that layup. Well, it was a contested layup. Georgia Tech really doing a nice job on the defensive end. As I said, early in the game, it looked like Clemson was able to handle that man-to-man, but Georgia Tech has clamped down, really forced the Tigers to work.
Michael DeVoe, the sophomore from Orlando, connecting with his second three-point basket. Team leader in three-point shooting. He's over 40% in the last 6 games for this Tech team.
It looked like Clemson was in a zone defense, and you just can't leave DeVoe alone like that.
And a whistle underneath. Just over 4 minutes gone by here in the second half. Now Moses Wright finally got the dunk he was looking for, and then leading scorer Michael DeVoe connecting from downtown to keep Tech in front. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And just over 15 minutes left to go in the second half here. Clemson trailing by 5. It's been a roller coaster ride this season for the Tigers, but they've had some big wins and they've won 3 in a row, so looking to hit their zenith at just the right time of the year.
That was a big win over Duke, and of course Wake Forest got a big win over Duke tonight.
Took them a while to get there, but Wake got the win on their home floor in a thriller. First of our doubleheader here on the ACC Network. Shot clock in single digits. Curran Scott on the runner.
And of course this game is going to have some importance in the ACC standings as to who gets the single bye and who's got to play the first day. It might have some significance in that Duke lost today. Duke has already clinched a double bye in the ACC tournament. But what that does is it puts Florida State alone at the top of the ACC standings with a 1-game lead over both Louisville and Duke.
These teams, Clemson and Georgia Tech, separated by just 1 game in the ACC standings, right in the middle of the pack. And this is the first of 2 meetings in the next 10 days between these schools, as they will also get together 2 hours northeast of here in Clemson in early March.
That ball looks like it's got grease or something on it. Nobody can hang on to it.
A lot of turnovers through that first half of play. 5 minutes deep now, second half.
See, that's a bad pass coming out there. Banks was down inside. Sims had a chance to get a 3. A bad pass, and now Sims loses the ball. Clemson is just not very sharp with their passing here in the second half.
Moses Wright trying to spin around Tevin Mack. He lost the ball. What a foul against Clemson. And it's going to be against Mack. His first personal.
And Mack, you know, he feels like he's trapped alone down there, and he's trying to make a play. If he just moves his feet, Dawes was coming to help. And Moses Wright had turned his back. I don't think he ever saw Alamir Dawes. So that is a break for Georgia Tech. Now what?
That's going to be a foul against Clemson away from the basketball. That's Amir Sims. Just his first.
A big tangle on that inbounds play. And Sims just pushes him down.
Well, Amir Sims leading this Clemson team in most major statistical categories.
I think Sims is trying to make the argument that Banks is a pretty big guy. He should take more pushing to knock him down.
Now Sims is a big guy too, 6'8", 240. A junior from Virginia. Sims leading all scores with 21 points.
Georgia Tech
9 of 14 shooting.
Georgia Tech has worked very hard to drive the ball into the middle of this Clemson defense.
DeVoe on the miss, tip back up. Hunter Tyson has the rebound for the Tigers. Brad Brownell yelling from the bench, really wants him to start moving. Play quicker.
The Georgia Tech defense has been extremely disruptive. Alvarado's going to pick up the foul there, but one of the reasons that Clemson is having trouble hanging on to the ball, one of the reasons they're having trouble getting movement is because of the pressure that Georgia Tech has been able to exert. This is a Georgia Tech team noted as a zone defensive team, but their man-to-man defense after the first couple of minutes of this game has been nothing but outstanding.
Yeah, they change up quite a bit, and some coaches have even said that they've thrown looks at them that they didn't even really know what to call. They don't mind switching on the fly.
I see Georgia Tech outstanding, particularly with that three-point field goal percentage defense, although they've had no defense for Amir Sims tonight.
Sims now with 23. And back to a three-point game.
And Georgia Tech's three-point field goal percentage defense has been outstanding tonight. Clemson shooting 14% from out there.
That's Jose Alvarado. After the hard fall earlier, he has come back and now is the first player for Georgia Tech into double figures with 10 points.
You know, you can keep Alvarado and DeVoe under control for a little while, but I'm just not sure you can do it for 40 minutes. You got to put some points on the board.
Curran Scott driving all the way down the lane. That's where most of the Yellow Jackets point comes from, and that's their backcourt. That accounts for just about 40% of all of their offense. Alvarado again, scoping out a three. And Hunter Tyson this time pulls down the board.
Clemson in that zone again.
Tevin Mack pulling up and on his way to the free throw line.
That was an odd looking play. When I watched it live, I was not sure that that's... Okay, I didn't know that he was actually throwing the ball to Mack because Scott was over in the corner, but definitely he was throwing it to Tevin Mack. But he threw it to him in a crowd.
Tevin Mack, the grad transfer from Alabama, was at Texas before. He spent his time in Tuscaloosa, native of Columbia, South Carolina.
He's not a good free throw shooter, only 59% in conference play.
Much better from three. He leads this team in made three-point baskets. Second leading scorer on the squad. He gets 1 of 2 here. Had a career-high 32 points recently in the win over Syracuse.
And Clemson staying in that zone defense. Sims is out. Jemison is in the back of that zone right at the moment.
You like this play from Clemson?
They're just trying to make Georgia Tech stop. Georgia Tech has been moving the ball very well. They've been driving the ball very well. But you got to get out and cover the three-point shooters.
5 to shoot. Alvarado creating space and scoring.
That's a nifty little move by Alvarado.
Junior from Brooklyn has a dozen. Hunter Tyson kind of got caught, turned around, and he hit the jumper.
Very poised play by Hunter Tyson.
Sophomore from Monroe, North Carolina.
Now again, Georgia Tech is not a great three-point shooting team, and that's the reason that Clemson went into that zone.
And Michael DeVoe gets in close, and the leading scorer on this squad for Georgia Tech has another basket. He's into double figures.
Well, what the Yellow Jackets have been able to do against the man-to-man is drive the ball to the goal. Clemson is not a great shot-blocking team, and Georgia Tech has taken advantage of that.
Tevin Mack.
Boy, and that's an offensive boost for Clemson. Sims on the bench right now, taking a breather. And Sims has been the only offense.
Moses Wright. And Trey Jemison had position defensively. So a turnover by the Yellow Jackets. Just shy of 11 minutes left to go here in regulation. Tevin Mack now into double figures on the night for the Tigers. This is ACC Network Basketball presented by Geico. 2-point lead for Georgia Tech, just north of 11 minutes left to go here in Atlanta. And it has been Amir Sims carrying his Tiger team leading all scorers with 23 points on the night.
Well, he's taking a rest, and here's why he needs that rest. You can see he's scored more than the rest of his teammates combined. They've made 20 field goals. He's made 10 of them. He's made 2 of their three free throws. He's made 1 of their 2 3-point baskets. That's been a problem for Clemson. They're only shooting 18% from beyond the arc, 2 for 11, now 2 for 12.
Tevin Mack on the miss. 137th meeting between these two schools. Clemson is the ACC opponent that Georgia Tech has faced most throughout their history. Clemson winning 5 in a row in the series and 16 of the last 20. The Tigers dominating lately between these programs. Well, Sunday, number 11 Louisville leads the ACC by a half game, and they'll host the Hokies at the Yum Center at 6 Eastern. That's here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Some good games down the stretch here in the final 2 weeks of the regular season. That's an offensive foul on Curran Scott, his 3rd personal. First player in the game to reach 3 personal fouls.
Well, you just got that forearm out there a little bit. And when you're out there in front of the official, then that's going to get called all the time. There wasn't a lot there, and Scott and Brad Brownell are both upset about it. But when you do it out there, when the referee can clearly see it, you're going to get that one called.
Moses Wright lost the handle and came up short. Got his own rebound. What a whistle.
And Moses Wright is a guy who in this second half has really been aggressive, looking for his offense, trying to drive the ball to the basket. And Clemson stopped him the first time, but then they didn't block him out, and he's able to get an offensive rebound. Moses Wright had 33 points against Syracuse. And this is an interesting kid. How far has he come? In his freshman year, he only had 34 points total, and he scored 33 in that game against Syracuse.
He was 2 field goals shy of a school record for an ACC game. He scored in double figures in each of his last 6 on the miss here. And such an interesting story. Only played 1 year of high school basketball. And that's because he tried out when he snuck out of swim practice at the YMCA. His mom wanted him to play tennis and swim, not be a typical basketball player. But he caught the bug, and he throws it down for Georgia Tech here.
And Brad Brownell is really upset.
And he's going to take a timeout. He is hot as his team is trailing by 4. Moses Wright coming off that career-high performance, averaging 17 in his last 6. And he's been a monster underneath tonight for the home squad. ACC Network Basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order only at Zaxby's. Just how impressive was Moses Wright, joining some select company in Georgia Tech history with his 33 points. You see the most points ever in ACC road games. That's where Moses Wright checks in. And they have played over 1,000 road games in the history of this program, and Moses Wright is among the most prolific scorers.
Well, and he's up there with some really good players. It's a good list to be on.
He's the only player to start every game this season, and where would they be without him? A guy who only played 1 year of high school basketball. Major impact player. 7 double-doubles this season as well. And a guy who was a 0-star recruit, basically coming out of high school. Had trouble just dribbling and doing some of the fundamentals of the game when he first got here, but just the raw athletic talent has really allowed him to get up to speed very quickly.
Well, it's more than raw athletic talent. He devoted himself to it. He really worked at his game, worked at improving himself. There's a lot of guys who have talent, but very few guys work as hard as he has.
He made the commitment. You combine the talent with that work ethic, in here early, staying late, working with the assistant coaches outside of practice time.
Clemson has been switching back and forth between the man-to-man and the zone, and in the man-to-man, Georgia Tech has really been able to drive the ball to the basket effectively, although that time
foul on Bubba Parham.
Third.
Third foul on him. Well, next Thursday, it's a women's basketball doubleheader here on the ACC network as number 5 Louisville will host Boston College at 6 Eastern, and then Syracuse is in Raleigh to take on number 8 NC State. Both games here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Under 9 to go. 3-point lead for Georgia Tech.
You know, if I'm the Clemson Tigers, I think that I'm letting Amir Sims handle the ball every time down the court. He doesn't have to shoot it every time, but I think Sims needs to handle it on offense before you shoot it.
Sims backing in on Banks. And a foul on Mack. Third personal on Tevin Mack.
Of course, James Banks, an outstanding shot blocker. And one of the problems, I think, for Sims there, you can see from that replay, his teammates are just standing there watching him. Nobody's cutting to an open spot to give him an opportunity to pass the ball to somebody. But Banks, outstanding on the defensive end, particularly with his shot blocking ability.
James Banks, number 2 in the conference in block shots this season. There's Alvarado trying to get around Alamir Dawes. He leads this Tech team in scoring here tonight. Now has 14 on the game. 8 minutes left to go. 5-point lead. Georgia Tech trying to get back to 500 on the season.
Alvarado and DeVoe have more than half the points for Georgia Tech.
It's kind of been the theme for them all season long. The backcourt does the damage offensively for this Yellow Jacket team. Alamir Dawes lost it. Turnover by Clemson. They're taking much better care of the basketball here in the second half after having 10 turnovers in the first half of play. And Wright lost it off his leg. 7.5 now left to go. Georgia Tech maintains the 5-point advantage. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. Well, in the first game of our doubleheader tonight, what an exciting finish at Wake as Duke falls in double overtime. The number 7 team going down 113 to 101.
And how about that turnaround? They lost by 31 points in their last outing against Duke. And Brad Brownell, he's got to be concerned about the way this game is going. For one thing, Amir Sims has not scored in over 6 minutes of game time. And keep in mind that this is the way the game went, back and forth in the first half until in the last 5:19 of that half, Georgia Tech went on to a 14-4 run. And you just get the idea watching these two teams go at one another that it's possible that the next team that's able to go on a little run is going to win this one.
Why has Sims gone dormant?
Well, I don't think his teammates are looking for him, and I think they're getting more attention. He's getting more attention from the Georgia Tech defense.
Turnover by the Tigers. 7 minutes left to go. Clemson riding this 3-game winning streak where they've beaten each team by 15 or more points. First time in over 4 decades they've done that. Trying to extend it to a 4-game winning streak here, but it's in jeopardy because Jose Alvarado has extended the Yellow Jacket lead.
Now, Clemson's got to go now. They've been struggling offensively, turning the ball over. They've got to get the ball to Sims, and there he turns it over.
Alvarado again gives it up for Parham. Largest lead for Tech.
Boy, turnovers have really hurt the Tigers. And James Banks has done an outstanding defensive job against Sims here over the last 6 or 7 minutes.
Alamir Dawes tipped back out. Now Hemingway for 3. They're going to get a third opportunity with Newman. And he gets the basket and 1. And did they need that?
Tech foul charge to number 0, Michael DeVoe.
Boy, they sure did. We've been talking about Sims. We have also been talking about Alvarado and DeVoe, and that's just a nice move that Sims stepped back because he thought his teammate was going to recover. You just cannot leave Alvarado that alone. A mistake by Dawes, stepping back away from Alvarado. Newman, that basket was represented his first points of the game. He wasn't able to convert the three-point play. Oh, my goodness.
Michael DeVoe, the sophomore from Orlando, scoping out the three and jarring it. Almost 45% from downtown in his last 6 games. And DeVoe with 14 points for Georgia Tech, extending the Yellow Jacket lead. Well, there are 2 players in double figures for Georgia Tech. And if I gave you 2 guesses, I'm sure you would pick them out. DeVoe and Alvarado, no surprise, they are leading the way offensively for this Yellow Jacket team.
Well, probably the most surprising number there is that 3-point field goal number. Georgia Tech as a team only scores about 5 3-point field goals a game. Those 2 guys, 5 for 9 tonight. And DeVoe, on that last play, Clemson just left him alone, and DeVoe has deep range. And if you're going to play off of him, leave him that comfortable, he is really going to hurt you.
Tech with a 10-2 run.
Just what we were talking about, Steve. We said at the end of the half they went on a 14-4 run, and just as we're saying, whoever goes on the next run, Georgia Tech goes on that 10-2 run. And Clemson, they need to be much better with the basketball. The last several possessions, very, very sloppy, and they have to figure out a way to get Amir Sims back in the offensive part of the game.
And so much at stake in the final 5:45. Both teams playing for a first-round bye in the ACC tournament. Clemson playing for their lives as far as the NCAA tournament and a possible bid there, as Newman can't connect. A game Clemson really has to have on the bubble of making the big dance. They lost 5 of 7 about a month and a half ago, but have righted the ship here in the last couple of months, winning 3 in a row coming in. Some impressive victories over top-ranked teams, but can't let this one get away. Alvarado on the spin with the shot clock at 3, and the rebound to Newman. Under 5 to play.
Clemson's got to go.
This is the largest lead of the game for Georgia Tech at 11 points.
That's just an outstanding defensive effort by Moses Wright.
DeVoe drops it off for Wright, and he draws the foul on the attempted dunk. It's on Amir Sims.
Sims is in the restricted area when this contact occurs, and the official pointed at the restricted area.
Well, no player with more than 3 personal fouls at this point. Somewhat surprising for a Georgia Tech team that has struggled with foul trouble all season long. They've had 22 players foul out this year. That's the most in a single season since the 89-90 season for this Georgia Tech squad. Well, Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we've got the next edition of Bald Men on Campus, our weekend studio basketball show where we preview the weekend's ACC slate of games and have the latest news from around the conference with Jay Billis, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg. And these gentlemen standing in for the aforementioned Jay, LaFonso, and Seth. Our understudies for the Bald Men on Campus here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech this evening. Well, again, so many implications for the ACC tournament here with this game tonight, and when these 2 teams meet again in 10 days on March the 6th at Clemson as they take the 2-hour drive up I-85. Here are the standings. And these 2 nestled right in the middle of the ACC conference. Clemson and Georgia Tech just separated by 1 game here. Looking for hopefully a first-round bye in the tournament in Greensboro. And important games in the final 2 weeks of the regular season.
Well, and the reason we have a stoppage here is the net came loose. So we got to get the ladder out and fix the net. It's always a good thing to have a ladder close by.
Well, they'll be cutting down the nets here in Atlanta in a little more than a month as the Final Four is coming to town at nearby Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And that is just about 3 miles south of here. So a big month of basketball in Atlanta coming up. And as far as the bracketology by Joe Lunardi, the ACC right now projected to have 5 teams in, along with the Big 12 and Pac-12. What do you think of this breakdown?
Well, I'm not going to argue with Joe Lunardi. He's the guy who invented the science. But one thing I will say is that there are exactly no teams in the NCAA tournament at the moment, but that's going to change next weekend. Next weekend, you're going to start having the conference tournaments where you get automatic qualifiers. We just showed you the ACC standings, the ACC tournament coming up in a couple of weeks. And remember, in the ACC, the first 4 teams in the standings get double byes. Teams 5 through 9 get a single bye. Teams 10 through 15 have to play on the first day of the tournament, which means if they're going to win the tournament, they'd have to win 5 games in 5 days. Always a very difficult task.
Moses Wright gets the free throws to fall. His first 2 of this basketball game. 4.5 to go. Clemson needs to hurry. Newman launches and misses everything.
Yeah, they need to hurry, but they've got to take good shots. And again, I think it's the Georgia Tech defense that's forcing Clemson to move a little bit faster than Clemson wants to go. The Georgia Tech man-to-man has been outstanding. Clemson seemed to have the answer to it for the first few minutes of the game, but since then, Georgia Tech has really been good.
Clemson shooting just about 43% from the field, coming off a game where they shot a school record for a road game at 69% at Boston College. Loose ball, players diving on the floor, and Tech comes away, no whistle. Michael DeVoe had it stripped. Elamir Dawes. And full court pressure.
That's what you're going to need to do if you're the Clemson Tigers. You're going to have to get some turnovers. You're going to have to get some easy baskets, because if you let this Georgia Tech defense get set, they've had problems solving it all night long.
Splitting defenders with the pass, but they can't convert. Bubba Parham coming up short. An 11-point deficit. 3.5 to go. A whistle against Georgia Tech. 61-50 with 3:30 on the clock, second half. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. A very emotional game on both sides here in Atlanta in this final week of February. So much on the line, headed towards the ACC tournament. And a Clemson team coming in here on a roll offensively, but they have been shut down by a very robust Georgia Tech defense.
Well, going into those last 3 games where they shot 50% from three-point range, as a team they only shot 29, so you expect them to come back down to earth a little bit. But you've really got to credit the Georgia Tech defense for Clemson's struggles tonight. James Banks in particular has been outstanding over the last 10 minutes. Amir Dawes has not scored a point in the last 10 minutes after scoring 23 points prior to that. And nobody else from Clemson has really been able to pick up the slack.
Yeah, Sims still leads all scorers with 23 points, but 16 of those came in the first half. And in particular, early on, he looked like he was just going to take over and have a career night, but things have really come to a grinding halt for him here in this second half as Tech has shut him down.
Georgia Tech has done a great job pressuring the ball, and the Clemson ball handlers, they're so worried about hanging on to the thing, it's just hard to find Sims.
9-point lead for the Yellow Jackets.
Now, Georgia Tech, they can afford to take their time, but you don't want to disengage completely. They have been done very well driving the ball to the basket in attack. They'll want to continue that.
They found a good rhythm here offensively in the second half. Shot clock at 6. Swing it down to Banks. And the followed by Moses Wright.
Now remember, Moses Wright did not score in the first half. He's got 10 points in the second half.
3 players in double figures for Georgia Tech. Under 3 left to go. Alamir Dawes. But Tyson, the offensive rebound. Alex Hemingway sizes up a 3. Banks pulls it away. And he's fouled by Amir Sims.
We talked about Moses Wright and how well he's played recently after struggling in the first half. He got himself in great position that time. 2 guys on Banks. There's no reason to have 2 guys on Banks out that far from the basket. Nobody blocks out Wright, and he makes him pay for it.
James Banks averaging 10 per game. Now, that's only his 5th point here tonight. The senior from Decatur, Georgia, transfer from Texas, had 2 huge games against Clemson last year. 16 points in the first meeting, 13 points, 8 rebounds, and a career-high 7 blocks in the second encounter. A guy who didn't play organized basketball until high school, played football up through 9th grade.
He's only got 5 points tonight, but he's got 6 rebounds, he's got 4 steals, and he's been outstanding defensively, particularly in the second half against Sims.
Hunter Tyson against Banks, and Banks is called for the foul. Just his second personal. He's fouled out of 4 straight games. Looks like he'll break that trend here tonight. As Tyson heads to the free throw line. Hunter Tyson, a perfect 3 of 3 from the stripe. Now Sunday, it's number 11 Louisville, leading the ACC by a half game, hosting the Hokies at the Yum Center. Tip off at 6 Eastern right here on the ACC Network. Ten-point ball game. And a steal by Dawes. The freshman from Newark, New Jersey. Gets the deficit into single digits. As Alvarado kept it alive, goes into the first row. The double team comes on right. He escapes and then loses the handle. Dawes for Tyson and for 3. Tevin Mack. He had it stripped. Alvarado again.
That's a great play by Alvarado. Clemson got what they wanted. They got a steal.
And now Tech chewing some clock with 1.5 minutes left. DeVoe blocked by Mack. In transition, Alamir Dawes. And that's going to be a goaltend.
I think it's just going to be a foul call. The Clemson bench wants a goaltend. But another turnover. Georgia Tech getting very sloppy with the basketball. Dawes driving it to the goal.
Now Moses Wright is going to be called for his second personal foul.
That's not a goaltend. He did grab the rim, but the ball wasn't on the rim. The ball never got to the rim.
And the officials explaining that to Brad Brownell. The entire Clemson bench was calling for goaltending. So instead, Alamir Dawes at the free throw line. And the ball's not up there.
Ball never got up above the rim, so that's not a goaltend. And Banks is going to get fouled that time by Moore.
Clemson foul charge number 2. Alamir Dawes is first.
So Alamir Dawes with his first personal foul. Georgia Tech trying to extend this advantage with 1:21 left to go on a 10-3 run. And James Banks at the free throw line. One for three from the stripe so far here tonight.
You know, Banks is not a great free throw shooter, but he's adequate. 65% in conference play coming in.
This is a Georgia Tech team that has averaged 31 free throw attempts over their last 3 games, but here tonight, this is only their 12th attempt. Nine-point advantage coming up on the final minute of regulation. Tevin Mack.
Well, we talked about James Banks and his ability to block shots. You're just not going to get the ball past him in that situation. He had lots of time to size up Tevin Mack.
Comes into Hunter Tyson, and a quick score for the Tigers. And a timeout taken by the Yellow Jackets with 106 showing and leading by 7. Now Georgia Tech claiming that they have been better than their record would indicate. They have suffered a lot of close losses in ACC play over the course of the last couple of months. They do have that big win over number 5 Louisville.
Josh Pastner has said many times that he thinks this team is close, and I agree with him. And you just have to be able to make plays at the end of games, and so far his Yellow Jackets have made them. They went on a run at the end of the first half. They went on a run here earlier in the second half to break open what was a close game, and now they're trying to hang on. Been a little bit loose with the basketball lately. Clemson has put on some good pressure.
Now both teams in the bonus, both teams with 3 players in double figures. No team in real foul trouble, as there's no player in the game with more than 3 personals.
As they have done for most of the second half, Georgia Tech has their 3 guards in the game, Alvarado, Parham, and DeVoe. It's one of the reasons their defense has been able to apply such great pressure. I figure this group would be able to handle the Clemson pressure.
Comes into Alvarado, and he's fouled by Kayvon Moore.
Well, that's why Moore's in the game.
Clemson foul charge, team number 21, Kayvon Moore, his first 19 foul.
And Alex Hemingway about to come back in for Clemson. Good 3-point shooter for them. Moore coming out. And Alvarado at the free throw line for Georgia Tech. Shooting his first free throws of the night.
Very good free throw shooter, though. This is a guy you want to have at the line.
Leads this team at 81% on the season, but he misses.
And that's off Banks.
So Clemson down by 7. They've got 1 timeout and just north of 1 minute left to go.
You've got to score quickly. Doesn't matter 2 or 3. You got to get one fast.
3 won't go down for Amir Sims. Rebound to Alvarado.
That's the first time Sims has taken a shot in a while.
Not going to foul here with under a minute to go. Trailing by 7. Bubba Parham escapes on the dribble.
Oh, you don't have enough time now.
Shot clock at 5. Now Jose Alvarado at the horn. Gets the roll. Tech could not have done it any better.
No, that's exactly what you run. You run all the time off the clock and score.
Tevin Mack misses from 3. And Georgia Tech is going to come away with the win. Alvarado will dribble it out. And it's a 9-point victory for the Yellow Jackets. And Jose Alvarado, leading his team with 19 points on the night, is our player of the game, brought to you by Zaxby's. One of 3 Georgia Tech players in double figures as they win 68-59. They improve to an even 500 on the season with a record of 14-14. Clemson has their 3-game winning streak broken. when they fall to one game under 500 in conference play. So an exciting one from here at Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets wind up beating the Tigers 68-59. And now for Dan Bonner, I'm Steve Schlanger. Good night from Atlanta, Georgia.